Hello YouTube subscribers. That was a tune called Texas Gales, and you may or may not recognize it. I first heard about this tune and learned it watching Brian Sutton, one of my favorite guitar players, favorite bluegrass guitar players. And he did this at, I think maybe the Station Inn, when he was with a couple other people that are playing. I forget who it was. It may have been him by himself. I don't know. It's been a while back since I've watched it. But you can look that up, Brian Sutton, Texas Gales. And, of course, he does a whole lot better job of it than I do. But I learned it from him. And I figured we could go over that today and do some work on it. So it starts out in C. And I'm using my, just now put on some brand new electric strings just yesterday. And, of course, the same ones I always use, electric phosphor bronze. Nano Web medium gauge, and I've been using my Dunlop Tortex pick a lot more lately. I found that in my experimentation with picks, you probably heard me rant and rave about picks, but in my experimentation, my favorite tone is still the DeAndrea Pro Plec pick. This is a 1.5 millimeter. It's still my favorite. I particularly like this shape because it has the 3 rounded edges on it, 3 sharp corners. But I find that it doesn't cut through a lot when I'm playing with other instruments. So I use it as more like on The Legend of Captain John or Legacy, or maybe a softer song like that, a slow song that doesn't require a lot of strumming, doesn't require a lot of trying to play over other instruments. That's what this one comes in for, the Tortex Dunlop 1.14 millimeter. It generally comes in purple, but I always like to get it in black. This is now my standard pick because it just gets the volume that I need. It has a still has a good deep tone, and it cuts through where I need to cut through on solos. I'm going to order some more of these pretty soon in 1.4 size. These are the Dunlop Ultex picks, 1 millimeter, and I'd rather have them to be the same thickness as this. The only thing I use these for is when my strings die and they don't have enough volume to get over these other instruments, and so I use this as a brightener, it brightens up the tone, kind of like if you were to have like the knob on my guitar here, the little amp Fishman acoustic amp thing or whatever that comes in here, pickup system. You have brilliance. If you turn the brilliance up, it would be the same as getting a different kind of pick material and using that. But today I'm using my Dunlop Tortex. That's your pick lesson for the day. And rather than ramble on that, so we'll go ahead and get in this. Texas Gales, it starts off in C, and it has 3 parts. It has an A part, a B part, and a C part. We're going to go over as many parts as we can right now. May have to split this into two videos. That's fine. The tune is this right here. And it's played a couple different ways, and I'm so used to this one I can't remember what the other one sounds like. Oh, here it is. And instead of it's a so they repeat that over again instead of going. Instead of ending on that C, they repeat that over and over again. But like I said, here's how I saw Brian Sutton do some of it, and he starts it off with a little pull off here. And I'm going to go ahead and zoom in just a tad so you can see what's going on. Hopefully that'll show up. So we start off with the key of C, and a lot of these melody notes are contained within the C chord. That's one thing about bluegrass that you need to realize, is that within your chords you can find a lot of the melody notes, or just even open notes, or also even if you just move a finger. So even if you just do that, a lot of those notes that are contained within the chord, so you don't have to lift your fingers and find everything just randomly. It's a good little pointer to keep out for. So we start with this right here, a little hammer-on. There we go. So we'll hammer on the 2nd fret on the C chord, open G, and then down on the C note there on the 1st fret right here. Now what I'm doing is it's a down, it's going to be a down, up on the G, down on the B string. It's kind of tricky, it kind of repeats itself. Okay, so just that much of it. And then after you land on this, you're going to go, so there's kind of like 2 parts to that. That's the first part. Starts with a downstroke, and it is all alternate picking. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Okay? And then the rest of the alternate picking, this begins with an upstroke. So we're backing back up, then the G string 2nd fret, and then open. Now usually I'll let go of the rest of these fingers here whenever I start doing this little melody line. And I don't know if you've noticed this or not, but this is really neat. A lot of times you can get away with creating a note without having to pick it. Like if I just hammer that on. So this sounded out as well as the pick stroke. Of course, you don't want to, just hammer it down there. It's just, I'm just unconsciously letting my finger sit back down there on that C note. Then it starts all over again. And then when it ends on this, a couple strokes on the C chord. So far we've got I'll slow it down a little bit. And we do it again. Then at this we add our ending lick, whatever it may be. Let's see, I mean, it could be one of a bunch of different things. Let's see, the one I usually go to. You could do that. Hammer on, 2nd fret D string, open G, pull off, 2nd fret G, and back to the D 2nd fret, open G, and then D string on the 1st fret, then back to the C chord. Okay, so that's ring finger on the 2nd or the 3rd fret of the A string. So that's a pull off. So any number of ways you can do that. So, I do that. It's not a standard thing. You can just do it at whatever you can think of. But this right here is a really cool pull off. When you're in C or A minor, it's the 1st fret of the D string. And I learned that off Tony Rice, and he said he got it from Clarence White. So, on one of his videos. It happens again. Now, so that's the whole A part. Strings are kind of want to get out of tune there, but so that's the A part. Now we're going to go on to the B part, okay? And I think I'll split this video up. The last part will be the C part, but this is going to be the B part. Now typically, let's see, well actually for the first part, let's go ahead and go over the chord progression. Okay, so it's C, G, C, C, G, C, C, F, G, C. And it starts all over again. Now for the second part, so it stays in C. Now that's going to the A minor. Okay, and so what we're doing now is we're totally leaving the chord shape, and we're kind of noodling around up here between the 3rd and the 5th frets on the E string. We're going to slide on the B string, and a cool thing to remember when you're playing these is your chord shapes. Right now we're in, like if we was to play a B here for the C chord. So if you were in your caged method, we start with a C shape and then the A shape. So we're in the A shape. So typically these bottom 3 strings here, 5th fret for these 2 fingers and 3rd fret for the 1st finger on the G, B, and E strings. So we slide up on the B, and I kind of mute that. I'm muting that with my finger. And it just comes naturally. I don't sit here and hold it out. It sounds better when you kind of mute it. Now there's different ways you can work around here. There's that pull off there in the C shape. The same pull off is located here within this shape. If you take and put your fingers here, right there. And so that's on the 4th fret, 3rd fret B string, pull off, 5th fret, G string. So going to the A note for the A minor. Now you can also do that instead of having to, it kind of gets your fingers tied up if you stay here. You can either hammer on there or but it sounds better when you hammer on, so. And if you get way up here, you get lost and have to come back down here. So we want to stay within this general area of the 5th and the 3rd frets. And we could also go this little, standard C lick. That comes into play here in just a little bit anyway. And that's going to be the 5th fret, 3rd fret, E string. And then 4th fret, where that pull off came from. But we're just going to play it single note, and then up on the E string, back to C. That open string gives us time to get back here. I went over several ideas about open strings, And I can teach you that in another video. But that open G gave me time to get from the high part to the low part. This open E gives me time to get to that C there. Open strings are very useful. Utilize those. Let's see, where would that come in? And you can kind of noodle around back up here for the A minor. Oops. It's a little confusing when you're trying to slow it down. You might want to learn that. That is the G. So we did that little pull off twice. First we did it to the B string where we're holding this note down, because we still need that melody note in C. So now we got two notes of the C chord. And then the pull off again. First fret of the D string, and then second fret, third fret of the A string. Okay, so we did, that's the B part, but it goes over twice. So the first time, and typically I go here. Let's see. And the timing is kind of weird, so I kind of noodle around up here. But this little lick here, so that is, we're now in the C, A, G position of the caged method. This, for the pentatonic scale, this would be the box 1. Okay. There's the C. We're going to go back to the long A form. But all we're going to use is the first two strings here. We're going to use that open E to get down to this part, and the open E again to get down to the C part. So we're kind of descending here. This is the second time. So that is, excuse me. That is, we're going to use that pinky because it's such a big stretch, it's going to be kind of hard to stretch like this. So we're going to use, after we're here, so we're going to slide all the way to the 8th fret. 8th fret, come back to the 5th, then 8th fret of the B string, then open E. And then back to the 5th fret, and then 3rd fret E. 4th fret B, open E. 1st fret B. Now you can choose to do that up here, or the second time you can choose so you can stay up here and do the melody note. And you can use that little pull off there. So the chords to that is You could even add another note, another chord in there, which is the F sharp diminished. And that is, you're going to put your first finger down, or your middle finger down on the second fret of the E string. You're going to bar these last, it's kind of an advanced chord, you're going to bar this last, or this first fret. We're typically going to go for the D and the B strings to bar. Then we're going to put our middle finger down on the G string, second fret. And we're not going to play the A string at all. We're going to kind of mute it with this finger. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the video off at that point, and hopefully you've learned a couple of little extra licks there in that. Break it down and see what kind of licks you can come up with in just that little section there. Now we're going to go over part 2, which is the part C of this song, and we're going to go over that in the next video. So stay tuned and keep watching. Thank you guys for subscribing.